Sorry, just had to check the angle. All right. Welcome to your Friday afternoon, evening, or whenever it catches you, relaxation. We're going to address this particular relaxation session from the element of care, which, at least for me, is the most profound and probably, the more efficient one. A lot of our practice and a lot of our lives, for that matter, they contain elements of pain, elements of hurt, elements of deep-seated history, wounds that are kind of stuck in our bodies. Now, through the yoga practice, we learn to see not only how they feel, but also how we relate to them. And very often when we encounter something in life that is painful or something inside that is painful, well, we know how we react. We react with harshness, with a little bit of violence maybe, definitely a sense of rejection. And part of that rejection is also your experience, which means that it becomes a part of your makeup, both of the psychological and the physical one. Now, when we open to these wounds, when we have the courage, maybe through the grace of our practice, to really feel them, to address them, to get very intimate with them, we also have a chance to restructure that sense of rejection and reactivity that has become part of that experience and in fact part of that pain. And the way to do this, at least the way that works for me the best, is through care. You know how you feel when somebody cares for you when you're ill. You know how you feel when somebody cares for you when you're suffering, when you're going through hardship, disappointment, heartbreak. That little element of care, it immediately starts a process of softening and healing. So, from that experience, we can deduct that when something is being cared for, it has a larger potential to heal without leaving too many scars. So when we take our yoga practice and we open, we relax, we dive into our bodies, we dive into our feelings, what we want to do is to learn how to readdress our pain, or as Eckhart Tolle would say, the pain body, through care. Does that sound good? All right, then stay with me. All right. So the intention of care, of course, it comes from your mind. But sometimes it needs a little bit of convincing. It needs a bit of a boost of confidence. And I find that in the breath, of course. So when I work with the element of care, especially, I really work with my breathing in creating, producing a breath that takes that same quality and brings that quality from mind to body, or sometimes convincing mind to care and bring it to body. So we're going to start with a bit of breathing. We place ourselves, good seat, comfortable seat, you know the drill. Feel the weight of your butt, feel the weight of your legs, feel the weight of the bottom half of you sinking down. Find that effortless lengthening in the spine, that sense of ease and generosity across your chest. Drop the weight of your shoulders, lengthen the neck slightly by pulling from the base of the skull slightly upwards. Relax your tummy, relax your belly, relax your diaphragm. Notice your breath, notice the state of your diaphragm. Soften when needed, relax, and spend time doing so. This is part of the caring. process. We don't rush care. Care very often comes in the sense of undivided attention. So we give our diaphragm undivided attention and we soften it when we can. We figure out how that is done. Very often it can be found in the relaxation of your abdominal wall or your belly. And when the diaphragm starts to give in, when the diaphragm starts softening, then start up your ujjayi breathing very softly, like a silent whisper. As usual, let your breath grow with time. Give it a lot of space, patience. Know that today you're not necessarily looking for power in the breath or even a very deep breathing. You're looking for that elusive quality of the breath, the one that makes you feel invited to open, the one that feels caring. Now I imagine the breath growing inside, almost like a lullaby grows into a symphony, very calmly. Maybe a gentle rhythm to start. And the presence of this breath will calm mind, it will soothe nerves, and it will automatically bring you towards feeling more relaxed, at ease, and more present. Use this presence and see if you can expand your scope of awareness to move in fully to feel the sensations, the feelings in your body. Provoked by the seed, provoked by your history, triggered by thought, triggered by, well, life. In the beginning, we just want to open to that awareness. We want to care deeply, and in order to care deeply, we need to get to a place of proper research, of acknowledgement. So we very honestly go towards those areas that ache. We recognize the band of resistance that threatens to come up. And then we take that breath. We take that element of care and we lead it through the presence of mind to that area that hurts, to that tenderness, to that wound. Now, I have many years behind me of practicing this particular way, so I can feel it immediately. It's almost as if the fabric of that tissue, of that place, of that feeling starts to open up. And when it starts opening up, then I can dissect it in more detail, held by the presence of that caring, calming breath, but with a mind that gives that undivided attention. Okay. Let's take this into a few postures, just for us to taste a few different situations. Let's come to our forward bend, our Baddha Konasana forward bend. See if I'm shown? Yes. So, feet in front of you, build yourself up. Remember, that is an act of care to create a seat for yourself that facilitates you being able to relax, breathe, and calmly pay attention throughout the duration that you stay in the posture. Drop down. Let's use the yin context of stillness, of releasing the outer layer, so mind immediately can dive a little deeper. Keep using your breath. Keep using that feeling of continuously uh, recreating that sense of quality of care in your breathing. So the being, you as a whole, feels supported. Notice what hurts inside. Notice what feels inside. Notice if there's any element of resistance that is felt as tension, biting your teeth, holding your shoulders, grabbing that diaphragm, holding your belly, or just on the micro level, squeezing a little bit inside your hips. See if you can use the exhales and release. Pay undivided attention to the area, to the areas that call for your resistance, that need your care. Let's slowly, slowly come up. Let us slowly, slowly come out with our legs to a wider posture. This one. Rearrange your seat. Take care of the placement of the pelvis. That feeling of the pelvis like a barrel sinking down towards the ground. Steady. And when that pelvis feels steady, you feel the spine can playfully just lengthen at the center. Relax your shoulders, your diaphragm, and then dive in. Now, for some of you, that diving in is maybe just closing your eyes and paying that attention, giving your awareness, calming your breath, using the breath as a vehicle to care for that area. For some of you, maybe you want to go a little further. Don't take it so far that you feel that you have to, which of course, when you go deep enough, you have to protect a little bit the connective tissue by engaging the muscle. Don't go so far. Go to the place where you feel like that chewy pain is bearable, but it's definitely being felt. Now, when you encounter a very tricky disposition, be it physical, be it psychological, emotional, then give more responsibility to the breath to communicate, to send that awareness. Open the breath, let it sing a little louder perhaps. Take even more care to formulate a breath that feels round, that has that lullaby bass, that round symphonic quality as it enters your body. And not only the actual presence of breath and the energy it brings and the intention it transmits, not only that, but the fact that your mind now is engaged in your breathing, it allows the body to soften by itself because your mind starts to relax a bit more. Let us very, very slowly withdraw, raising spine up, walking hands back, taking a moment here to once again relax everything. Take a couple of breaths. Give space in these transitions. And then we are going to come down to child's pose. We go down to a child's pose, maybe take your pillow, your blanket, block, and place your forehead so you can really drop. The minute you find your posture, work simultaneously with breath, with awareness, settle in stillness. Now, part of your care is, of course, also continuously working on the release of that residual historical tension you are carrying. And this is a very good position to release a lot of that residual tension, especially when it comes to neck, to your jaw, shoulders. You want to give in to the pull of gravity every time you exhale. And every time you exhale, as the skull sinks, as the spine relaxes, you will be allowed to feel a little more. Relaxation does that. It opens the body so we can allow our mind to dive deeper. You probably feel a lot in your lower back, in your hip. Maybe you don't feel that much. Keep paying attention. Maybe pay exclusive attention to your breathing. Allow the mind to scan the body to really feel the whole body. Give it that detailed individual attention that is so welcome. But most of us, we feel something. Notice how that undivided attention, how when you're able to sustain your awareness there, to really hold it, how the area kind of offers up more sensation, kind of dissects itself in front of your very mind. You get to feel more details of experience, more nuance. Let us slowly, slowly withdraw from here. Once again, find a neutral posture that feels comfortable for hips, for spine, for breath. Take a moment, take a breath. And then we take either a bolster, if you have one of those, or a blanket and a pillow. We roll up and we come down here. You will find a placement that suits you. You want to have as a marker, you want the skull to be able to drop heavily down on the ground. This allows you to relax in the throat, in your neck, in the shoulders. For me, I like to feel that the arms are above whatever pillow bolster I use, so I can really feel the weight of the upper back dropping down in a similar way. If it feels too much to also involve your hips, then take a Savasana stance and work exclusively up on top. Now, besides injuries or tension, weaknesses in the tissues up by your shoulders, up around your heart, this is a hugely psychological position. Heart opener, chest opener, splaying out, opening up. It feels very psychological. You will feel your diaphragm, maybe protesting a little bit. Give it some time, work with it. In this position, I really like to enjoy the full scope, the full possibility of the breath, the full potential of it. So I feel like I'm filling up the whole space of the rib cage, of the middle part of the spine, opening in the solar plexus here, vagus nerve. And then let that breath move all the way up to the upper part of the lung as well, feeling how it stretches out around the shoulders. Feels almost like a little spring cleaning. And then every time you exhale, remember to use it. Maybe take it a little slower and really feel the weight of the body, how it couples up with gravity, and how incredibly relaxing that is. And once again, through that relaxation, mind gains access to examine in more detail, to really give that attention. Sometimes you don't need the presence of the big breath, especially if you're a meditator. Just, the powerful interaction, the relationship, the effect when your mind gives undivided attention. Then in that case, maybe the breath becomes very fine, almost non-existent. Whenever I sit in a meditation retreat and I have many, many hours to dive in, I notice that the more sharp and the more detailed and subtle the attention of mind becomes, the more fickle the breath. It's almost like holding the breath, being very economical with it. It makes it easier to give that very sharp attention. Okay. Slowly, slowly make your transition by raising your knees, placing your feet on the ground. Give a little push with the feet down. Allow that to raise your pelvis up just enough so you can slide that bolster, pillow, blanket down to your hips. If it feels too high, what we're going to do next is extend our legs. So if this feels too high with your bolster, then change whichever tool you have. You want to place the height so you feel that the legs can just spill down, stretching passively this area in the front of the hips that is usually very difficult to stretch in a relaxed manner. Make sure your lower back feels relatively comfortable, upper back as well. Now here my first thing would be to check if the breath can reach all the way down to the area that I'm highlighting, one that I'm triggering. So here I start with the breath, allowing it to move down, maybe giving a bit more energy to that breath, relaxing that diaphragm. I would say that this is another one of those areas that feel tender and psychological. Some of us have issues, historical, mental, deep wounds down there. Some of us have injuries, lower back, asymmetry in the hips. Maybe if you've given birth, that area has a memory of both beauty and pain. If you've been abused, a lot of pain. Now, with these more conflictive, really challenging or difficult spaces in the body that perhaps give rise to images or memories, words, opinions, judgments. Well, those are difficult to look into, of course. And this is why having the breath as a very steady companion is very, very, very useful. Allow the breath to really grow, singing out all the way to a symphony. The deeper the wound you experience, the more difficult the pain you feel, the more you really want to cultivate that intention of caring, because of course you care for your wounds. Of course you care for your pain. It's part of your life. And when we can make that little shift, that little switch in the mind from enemy to friend, well, then the whole experience, whether it's memory, whether it's illness, injury, becomes so much more bearable because you feel accompanied, you feel cared for. That undivided attention, that lullaby symphony of a breath that brings calm, kind energy. Just like that friend that gave us their attention when we were suffering. And we remember how that started a sort of opening, healing process. Same thing here. Maybe sometimes part of that is some release through tears or needing to lay down, needing to curl up in a ball. That's okay. But to not recognize, to not acknowledge, to not give it your attention, well, then the wound festers. The mind hardens. And that hurts. Okay, let's give it some relief. From here, just bend your knees and bring them into your chest. That added height below your bum should make this feel very relaxing. If you want, you can also interlace your fingers, create that very soft cage-like form around. There's probably some residual echo in the area. Now there is almost a flood of relief as it is allowed to go in on itself again. Keep using mind, breath, undivided attention, caring breath. And notice how that feels. Some of you may want to keep that little height below. Grab hold of a blanket, a scarf, a strap, a belt, and we come here. Now that added height below, for me it makes my legs go a little bit in, and I think I like it today, so I'm gonna keep it here. Some of you may want to come all the way down here, then it becomes more addressing the back of the legs, the calves, the hamstrings, but you want to cultivate that soft relationship at the front of the hips. Femur bone sinks into the hip joint. Place your hands in such a way, I would call it the arm length distance, so that when you relax the weight of your upper back down, relax the weight of your humerus, of your upper arm into the shoulder. That also tugs a little bit at the legs. Here, even though we are relaxing a lot, it might feel good to engage the feet slightly, to feel the energy moving upwards throughout the heels. That awakens sensations in the feet, in the toes. Energy lines, meridians have their exit and entry point there. If you're into Chinese medicine. Now here the sensations, I would say, they move more towards the physical plane again, which might be a bit of a nice release from heart openers and pelvic openers. The practice is the same. Engaging mind, paying attention, trying to sustain awareness. Drawing mind to the parts of the body that really need care, the ones that hurt more, the ones that feel tension, the ones that feel the weight of life. Let's release that. We bring our feet down, we lift our pelvis up, and we slide our objects out. We come to our twist. I'm gonna go a little deeper today, so I wrap the left leg, in my case, over above the right one. I let both knees drop down to the side, and I try to place myself so pelvis below the rib cage, below my shoulder girdle, extending the arm upwards or out depending on what space you have, placing the skull in such a way that you feel your neck can relax, your shoulders can relax. If this feels too deep, of course, come here. If you want to just relax in the posture and not pay too much attention to the alignment of it, also good. Maybe if you have lower back issues, you want to give a little bit of attention to alignment, placement. In twists, I always receive buffet of different types of sensations. Hips, spine, rib cage, and on the inside you feel the squeeze of the organs, the lengthening, stretching out of the intestines. Feel the shoulder, feel the tension, the residual tension on the top of my shoulders, neck and jaw. So a lot to pay attention to, a lot to care for, a lot to practice my caring vein with. Here once again I start with breath, allowing it to slowly grow inside. Because the position is offering so much information, I use all the tools at my disposal. Breath, that attention, but also very much relaxation, that giving in to gravity, the um, deliberate softening and releasing of the tissues. Relax my jaw. If I'm in a deep twist like this and I have had a lower back issue or a little bit of tenderness down there, then I employ a soft mula bandha. Now when bandha comes into the mix, it's very difficult to keep all the parts of the equation coherent. So, um, well, you know, if lower back issues are your thing, then focus more on bandha and breath. That alone maybe is the caring energy you need. Then slowly, slowly, I come back center. Slowly, slowly, let's all come back center. I take some time in this calm, neutral posture. I choose this one, feet wide, knees leaning in towards each other, pelvis sinking towards the floor. I feel that tenderness, that sense of unevenness in the pelvis. I give it time, I give it breath, I give it attention. And then take the other side. Set yourselves up. Remember that maybe you have to place yourself a little differently on this side, giving, allowing for asymmetries and history. When you have settled, open mind, feeling, researching inside the body. Open the breath, let it grow a little bigger. Another way I put it that like that usually, is to feel like every single breath that comes in and moves towards that area that is suffering, it wants to feel like a caring caress from the inside, like a gentle, very attentive, accurate internal massage. So the approach is not in a way pushing the pain away or needing it to even go away. The approach is more creating a relationship to it and allowing the feeling of care to balance the feeling of pain. So the whole experience becomes more bearable, feels kinder. I would say if relaxation for me is the physical equivalent of equanimity, maybe physical stillness being a similar physical counterpoint to awareness, then caring, using the intention of mind, is almost like, almost like praying, allowing for the bleeding heart, the open heart, the good heart. Okay. Come back from your twist. Slow transitions. They want to mimic the transition of the breath that acts so slowly that you can be present every single stage of that transition. So there's no spillage of attention, of awareness. Take that neutral posture where the spine can rest, where your pelvis can rest, where your hips can calm, where the breath can sweep in like a knight in shining armor and gently massage, gently caress that area from the inside, allowing the echo to slowly, slowly dissipate. From here, extend out to Savasana. Here, for most of us, or maybe not actually, that may be erroneous, but for some of us, most of the pain, it starts dissipating Neutral posture, fully gravity bound, being held by the ground, being held by gravity, allows for that deep relaxation which releases a lot of the um, pains and aches that we feel in our daily life or in our postures in the yoga practice. And when the pain dissipates, should the pain dissipate, I would say it's an invitation for mind to go in and pay attention to all those other range of sensations, the more subtle ones, the movement of life inside. If there is no pain, when there's no pain, I kind of divert that sense of caring to a feeling of gratitude for life, for my life, and for life. Giving that undivided attention, that sharp awareness to your experience of life. Cultivating a sense of gratitude or care. Because when we open to these wounds and when we feel some of the residual pain that life offers, and we don't object too strongly to it, we don't resist it too harshly, then we understand that it is part of the makeup that is life. And without pain, well, no pleasure. Without pain, very difficult to grasp the concept of compassion. I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed this care bath. I find in pretty much any circumstance, this is one of my favorite things to do. And I hope it will be for you too, because this practice you can carry with you for a long, long time. When you can't do down dog anymore, you can't do handstands anymore. The practice of care, the practice of attention will always be invaluable. very nice weekend, and you shall see us again next week.